Sicily, amazing diversity. But the thing that really impressed me the most was the food.
This guy's reading my mind. I was going to ask you, give me two dishes. Give me two dishes that you had, and you wouldn't even want anyone to even attempt or try anywhere else here.
So Sicilians are known for rice balls, right? Like it's called arancini. And I had these.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready?
Nope.
For a long journey where our podcast released a new epi, searching for a fade fiending, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, tap some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talking with Donato.
Welcome in, everyone. Talking with Donato, episode 50. Man, it's flown by.
Wow.
This episode we won't tease you with the good time. And I know my guest, he may not like that title, but just, hey, I'm not a professional comedian, but our guest, Gabriel Tese, how are you?
I am doing great, Donato. Thank you for having me on your show. It's wonderful to see you live again.
Yeah.
Even though we've kept in touch, and it's always great to be around somebody with the positive energy that you have. And I like to bring the positive energy too.
You do. Yeah. So for the listeners, hopefully you guys are going to get a chance to see the video. If you are just going to do the audio, let me help the rest of you out. This gentleman has some amazing locks flowing right now. It's gonna be worth it. Just give it a check. He's got some smooth. Look, the gray is just coming right over the temple. I mean, it's smooth. You're looking good, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You don't look so bad yourself.
Thank you.
And your family looks great. So I wish you all the best. And it's so nice to keep in touch and to follow you. All these years, it's been really good to see what you're doing. You're like me, you're always busy.
Indeed. So we're gonna start out for the listeners. Let's dive in. Where'd you grow up? And I'm going this way because I just don't understand the range that you have as a person. You look like the type of person that honestly you could just be dropped down into any group, and something tells me that group is accepting you. And that is a compliment. There aren't many people, in my opinion, that could pull that off. So let's start at the beginning. I got to know, how did you become the guy, the adult, the gentleman that I met? How did this all begin?
This is a big part of who I am. My grandfather on my father's side, so my dad's dad, came over from Sicily. And to New York, right? And with his father, and then he paid for the rest of his family to come over, and he became an attorney. And in his youngest brother, my great uncle Ray, he also became an attorney, and they were very successful. Actually, the black law books that are on my shelf back there are McKinney's from New York, and it's their law firm books. It's actually stamped Tese and Tese. And they're like from the 1950s, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
So my father was the youngest, and his father got sick when he was a kid, and ultimately what that led to was it led to him getting shipped off to like military school and like a private school, and then his older siblings, they were still around their dad, and they ended up becoming lawyers and being very successful. And my father, he did it the hard way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
He learned the hard way through life. And because of that, he always pushed me to do the legal thing, right? Or join the military. So that was it. Like he saw my roadmap of success to be like his brother. Right. And so he pushed me for that, to the point where I had a nomination to the Naval Academy, actually. But I turned it down. And then I went to Rutgers because I was like, I don't want to be in the military. And then 2 years later, I enlisted in the Army as a 19 kilo. So, that is just, I have stumbled through life, but I've enjoyed every minute of it,
I've done some recruiting for Army ROTC across a wide variety of campuses throughout America, and I've run into that kid. I've looked at him and I was like, Gabriel, you would be an amazing Army officer. And at that time, oh no, I don't want it. You're too cool for school. And then when I find out 2 years after graduation, they still enlist, and there's nothing wrong with being enlisted, but come on, I might have had some scholarship opportunities. We might have been able to get you the branch of your choice, get you some really cool schools while you were young and invincible. You just brought back a lot of pain there.
No, I mean, I know this is something that we connected in back in Kuwait, and I know that we both shared kind of a similar experience in that way where, listen, I not only enlisted in the Army, okay? If I had gone to the Naval Academy, I would have been a Marine officer and I would have had every great experience you can have, right? But by enlisting and going to basic training and being combat arms and then joining ROTC, I saw like so many different opportunities, and it was interesting because I was an armor enlisted, they wouldn't let me go to airborne school in ROTC because hear me out, because the commander of my ROTC battalion at Rutgers University was an armor officer, and all these National Guard armor soldiers that knew they were never going to get to go to airborne school, right? If they were in college, they would join ROTC for a year just to go to airborne school. Okay. And then they would quit. So he like put the kibosh on that. And he said, no, it's not going to happen. And so I just got to Rutgers at a bad time as an armor. If I had been in 11 Bravo, then, I would have went to Ranger school and airborne school and all that, but I just didn't get that opportunity, but I did get tanker boots. So,
hey, I mean, if the tanker boot was the best footwear, I'm willing to fight for that. I'm willing to say it is the best. And I know those Cav guys, they love their Spurs, and I got all that. But that tanker boot, it's a beauty.
It's nice. I mean, the jump boots are nice too, right? I mean, at least they used to be. Yeah. Now they don't even shine their boots anymore, man. I mean, it's not the same.
There are some things that they've lost their luster.
So basically, I was born in New York, and then I was raised in Jersey, and I think New Jersey is the other half of my personality, which is New Jersey is an upbeat, nonstop kind of state, and it's very diverse. There's a lot of Italian Americans. There's a lot of Irish. There's like a lot of diversity, and so you get a lot of different personalities. Like the Jersey Shore is very popular, right? And all, and I think you learn how to handle all those personalities when you grow up in Jersey. And Jersey, I think, is a lot like the military because in the military you got people from the South, you got people from the West Coast, and so what you have is you have a bunch of people whose cultures are all kind of meshed together, and it ends up being a lot like New Jersey. So I always felt at home on a military base, and that was probably why I ended up staying in the military for 22 years.
I normally ask this question. I haven't in a while, but I gotta know. I'm going to take you to senior year of high school. You get your tray in the cafeteria. What table are you sitting at, and why?
Wow. See, that's a great, that's a great question, and I think it goes right to what you said before about me, about dropping me anywhere. So, like, my group of friends and me were like, we were in all AP classes, but we hung out with the potheads. But we were also starting on like all the varsity sports teams, and we were in like the play. You know what I mean? So it was weird. It was like we basically like crossed all genres of kids, and it was a lot of fun. So I mean, I think that that experience also helped me in later on in the military, because I think I was able to be enlisted and be an officer and kind of like bridge that gap. I think there's a lot of, enlisted soldiers that like they become officers and then they really struggle, and vice versa. But I don't think I struggled on either side. And I think, I think part of that is that New Jersey experience.
All right. You mentioned it. You brought up the Jersey Shore, so we got to go back. Let's take you back to that same high school period. What was the flow looking like? We got some product in that hair. You going with natural locks?
No, honestly. So I had hair like this. I like when in my freshman, maybe sophomore year of high school, I had hair like this, and then I cut it short. My junior year, I cut it short, and it was after that I had it short for 26 years.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, like I honestly, my hair hasn't been this long since my sophomore year of high school, and my daughter now, my oldest daughter, is a sophomore in high school, so it's like full circle.
Yeah. Okay. You brought it out because I saw a picture of a striking young fellow in a basketball uniform, but then you said other sports. What? This is your time to brag.
Oh man, I played football. I played football. I was a safety and a wide receiver. But I got injured my senior year, and it was really the only year I played. And so I was only in like 4 games, but I was a good football player. I always was. And then I ended up playing rugby for the Army. And I think those, football was probably my favorite sport. Right. Yeah. Even like, playground football as a kid, always my favorite sport. Although in the Jag Corps, it's ultimate frisbee, right? So
yes, it is.
So that became the thing. But like, there's a picture. I actually had a picture that I included when I sent it to you, and it's of me in an MWR jersey. That was the Army Navy intramural football game that we had at Guantanamo Bay when I was down there in 2004.
Okay, Army Navy just happened a week ago. So let's put the pressure on you. How did your game turn out against the Navy?
It didn't turn out as well, actually. It was kind of the start of the Navy's. They had a 17-year period where we didn't really beat them much, and that included intramurally. Okay, so it was bad. But I did have an interception touchdown, so there was. There was
that matters. I mean, you can't do it by yourself. No one man is the entire team. So, but you can only do your part. All right. So growing up there, what are you? Are you a Giants fan? You a Jets fan? Like who
Giants all the way? I mean, it's a lot of people wouldn't admit it right now because of how bad the Giants are, but they're still my team. I have a Giants banner. I hang it in my gym, so it motivates me.
Well, DeVito's got a little magic working now.
I mean, I read an article the other day about like whether this is like the football version of Linsanity, which I lived through, and Linsanity was crazy, right? Like you got this Harvard kid coming to the league, and then like he starts scoring 30 points a game in the middle of the season, like 20 games in a row. It was pretty crazy. And he ended up having a pretty long NBA career for a guy from the Ivy Leagues.
He did.
But like this DeVito kid, he's still living with his mom and dad, and he like set some records in the first 3 games. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
It is. And I know everyone wasn't really sold on Danny Dimes anyway. So
I never had a problem with Danny. I just didn't like how high they drafted him.
I agree.
Like, they could have traded back 2 rounds.
Yes,
and they could have gotten a couple of other picks, and they didn't do that. But I mean, like, hey, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. I'm not the one in the draft room, the one who's trying to convince my boss to lend me, the millions of dollars necessary to sign people. So, I mean, business is not an easy thing. And we like to like watch TV and be like, yeah, like that was a dumb decision. But at the same time, like, unless you're in the room with all those people making a lot of money, then like, you don't really know, what's behind those decisions. So, you know, listen, not Danny, DeVito.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job, and like I hope the Giants, give him a shot as long as he keeps performing. But now we're winning games that we're going to get us a better draft pick. So it's like, do the Giants really want to do that?
Yeah,
I don't know. You're a Commanders fan, right?
I am.
Because we had this conversation. I remember.
Yes. It's hard times. I'd like to have a little magic. Our guy Hal setting the league on fire as far as passing yardage. So a lot of people want to claim it and say that we have a quarterback. I'm not sold yet. I want to see what the coaching is going to look like, because I believe we are not long for Riverboat Ron.
Can I let you in on a secret though?
What's that?
I got Howell as my second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league, hey. and he's been keeping me afloat, man. He's been keeping me afloat. He's had a couple of bad games too, but like he's showed up and well exceeded the expectations for him on a few games. But like the Eagles and Dallas are both really strong this year. So for us, we're kind of we got to hang back there till next year.
Yeah, and take what little positive items we have. You and your 3-game win streak. So kudos to you. I actually watched that game, and what an upset. I was so shocked that DeVito pulled it out. And then, of course, the shot panning to the crowd, him and his agent. For those who've never spent time in New York, I mean, that's commonplace. We weren't impressed. We know 15 guys that look like his agent with the cool cap pulled down and the black suit. But America, welcome to New York. The Italian American community got it. This is the first time.
And that's a big part of how I identify myself. But now I'm in Central PA, and I enjoy it. There's a lot of good out here too. And my mom is actually from Pennsylvania, so again, that was just another aspect of like growing up with this like very urban family, and then on the other side having this rural kind of Central Pennsylvania childhood as well. And so it's been interesting.
Can I go ahead and help you lose a couple friends with this next question? I got to throw you under the bus. Harrisburg is perhaps the worst capital in all of America. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know, man. I'm from Jersey, so Trenton is not much better. Listen, Harrisburg has a lot of potential. I will say that. Harrisburg has a lot of potential.
I agree with that.
I mean, it's a beautiful, Central Pennsylvania is beautiful, and the mountains and the river, it's gorgeous.
I agree with that too.
There's a lot of poverty, and they gotta somehow figure that out, because they got to generate more business in order to be competitive with like the bigger capitals like Austin. Austin, nobody's touching Austin, but I think there's a lot of other capitals like Sacramento? I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
A bit nicer. California. And a few other states that their capitals have been doing really well. But there are other capitals in the country, like Montgomery, for example. That's not the nicest capital. I've been to some like a few southern states where their capitals aren't that nice. And then growing up in Jersey, so I mean, I don't know. You're right. It needs some work, but at the same time, I think the closeness to camping and like the rural environment kind of makes I enjoy Harrisburg. Plus, then I'm still close to New York. I'm only 3 hours away, so.
For our listeners who don't know, I'll give you a quick history lesson. Our forefathers couldn't make a decision between Pittsburgh or Philadelphia, and the only reason they chose Harrisburg is because it's the geographical center of those two cities. That's the only reason. Mr. Tese, I just need you to know, I moved to Harrisburg. I had a job down in Carlisle at Dickinson College. ROTC.
What? Get out of here! Really?
Yeah.
No way.
And I thought I was a single guy, so I thought, I'm going to live in the state capital because it's going to be on and popping. I'll ride my motorcycle, and I had the obligatory Ford Mustang as well. I was like, 30-minute drive, that's nothing, but I'm gonna be in the capital.
Wait, is this after you got off active duty?
It was right after getting off of active duty.
Yeah, so you just
Yep.
came off. You were a captain. You had your Mustang. Okay,
Yep.
You're painting the picture better for me here. Okay.
All of that. I am basic. I would like to think that I am not, but at the end of the day, there are some.
You're not basic, man. You're not basic. You're multifaceted. So tell me about this experience in Harrisburg. Where did you end up living? Were you in Midtown or were you
7
downtown?
months? Well, this is where you'll find it funny. I was only there for about 7 months because I ultimately wanted to go back on active duty. So I ended up going AGR, and when I got that position, they said, "Oh, you can't stay here in this billet because it's for a contractor." So then I got to go to Boston. But some apartment complex. It was a cool little apartment complex. It was wicked cheap. I spent so much time down there on campus when it was over. Some of the best campuses, they'll have faculty pick up basketball games, and they had it at Dickinson.
Really? Get out of here. I feel like I should take part in that now since I pass it every day that I drive into the office. I mean, I work from home some days, but I mean, when I drive into the office, I pass Dickinson. So, I didn't know they had a pickup game there. Now I'm going to have to go dust off the Jordans. You know what I mean?
I still know a guy. The guy who replaced me there in ROTC is still there, and I certainly can ask him. He's not a baller, but I know he would. I mean, it's not a big campus. He would know the guys that are still hooping in it. It was a great scene. The professors there were great. I enjoyed my time. A bunch of us old guys. I was one of the younger guys straight off of active duty too, but it was so much fun. But that's about all I can give you on Harrisburg, and I've already put people to sleep.
So where are you now? Where are you now? You're in Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm at the University of Texas, Austin.
Get out of here. So I lived in Austin for 7 years after active duty, right?
Yes, I do. I was going to get to that, and we will. We're going to come back to that. I want to circle right back, though. I want to keep you to task on this one other item here. Okay. So your family came to America. Are we going to get that actual Ellis Island kind of story? Did you ever get to go see them come in and sign the book? And
no. So to be honest, it's interesting. Like when I went to Ellis Island as a kid, it wasn't there. But my family, my grandfather was successful, and my uncle has been very successful, and they ended up, getting his name added on. But we do have his birth certificate. He was born in 1903. There's photos, and we have a lot of stuff about him. And now I'm close to my family in Sicily as well. So
I wanted to get to that.
Yeah, because we were messaging back then in June when I went, and I got. I mean, my family over there is amazing, and it's like the area it's ridiculous. It's like straight out of a movie. It's incredible, and so I think we should cover that. You should let me know what your questions are on that.
It's one of the places I have on my list to retire. Now, I was going to go over there at the base of the Alps. That way I'd be over near the military base to have, obviously healthcare and those opportunities in retirement. But hey, we've always seen, unfortunately, you can judge me here, but in the mafioso movies, when there's always the flashback, when they think of the old country, those guys that are really from Sicily, it's so beautiful, so picturesque. What exactly would be the one item that just like blew your mind when you were there? Was it vineyards, rolling hills? Like what?
So I took 10 days, and I was only with my family for 3, and then I just wanted to see every piece of Sicily, and so I drove all around the island. And I can tell you, it's got so much diversity, and that was the thing that caught me off guard. You fly into Palermo. Palermo has some really big mountains. It's very picturesque, very beautiful. And then I drove down through the middle of the state to where my family's from in southern Sicily, south central Sicily, a little town called Naro. And it looked like the Godfather movie. I mean, like rolling, beautiful, like California kind of rolling.
Yeah.
Not really mountains, like kind of like more like the not as big as the mountains in the north, but these like rolling golden hills and vineyards and lemon trees and olive trees. And then there's like ruins everywhere. There's Greek ruins, and there's French Norman ruins, and then there's Moorish ruins, and then there's like Carthaginian ruins. It's like literally there's not a farm in Sicily that doesn't have some kind of ruin that an archaeologist probably hasn't even looked at yet. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy because you think about it. It's an island in the middle of the Mediterranean, right? So everyone has conquered that island. And when we were there, I was talking to my youngest sister who graduated college like a few years ago, and I was like, Sicily is where the Cyclops was in the Odyssey, right? And she was like, she bet me I was wrong because she was like, I just studied the Odyssey and the Iliad and stuff, and I was like, yeah, well, like pull up a map, and we pulled up a map on Google, and sure enough, there's the Cyclops standing on Sicily.
Boom.
And then Scylla and Charybdis were right on the Strait of Messina, which is amazing in and of itself, by the way. So Sicily, amazing diversity, but the thing that really impressed me the most was the food.
This guy's reading my mind. I was gonna ask you. Give me two dishes. Give me two dishes that you had, and you wouldn't even want anyone to even attempt or try anywhere else here.
So Sicilians are known for rice balls, right? Like it's called arancini, and I had these seppia de arancini de seppia, right? They were these Sicilian rice balls with cuttlefish ink, right? So like the rice is like black on the inside, and then they're like deep fried. But there's like risotto, like this cuttlefish ink risotto in the inside, and then they put this saffron aioli on top, like they just like kind of drizzled the saffron aioli on top. And I'm definitely not exaggerating here. It was the best thing I have ever tasted in my life. Man. And that was just an appetizer. And I was like, wow, I was like, this is amazing. And we had multiple, I had multiple great dishes while I was there. Just amazing. But so arancini is common. You can get all different types of Sicilian rice balls, but if you get arancini di seppia, which is like the cuttlefish ink, I mean, it's something special. That's for sure.
Is this a tourist town? Like, are people coming there? I can't say I know people that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to Sicily, but what are they surviving off of now? Is it fishing? Is it tourist?
I mean, it's, to be honest, it's a lot of farm. There's a lot of farms in Sicily, right? There's, like you said, vineyards. So in Western Sicily, that's near Marsala, and Ville Marsala, obviously,
yes, I do.
Made with Marsala wine, right? And so, but it's not just cooking wine. They make all wine. They just don't export a lot because, like France exports, Italy exports, Yes. So most of it gets drank on the island, and it's cheap. So you can get a good bottle of Prosecco, Sicilian Prosecco from the Marsala region for like $10. So you don't really drink a lot of water when you're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mostly good wine and good food, and that's I guess that would be problematic if I lived there full time. But yeah, no, it was amazing.
All right. We're going to get back to this one last item that we started with. So I saw a picture of you in a basketball uniform. I got the football part, but what were you doing on the b-ball court? Where'd they have you?
I think we played before. I think that I can play. Yeah, I got some skills.
I'd like to hear it. I'd like to,
I was always more of a street ball player than an organized basketball player. I did play in high school all 4 years. But I didn't start all 4 years. In fact, I didn't start really until my junior year. I started a couple of games in my senior year. But me and my basketball coach didn't really get along, and I think he felt like I was too much of street ball player. Like didn't really. I wasn't very coachable. Let's just put it that way.
I can understand that.
But on the street ball court, I think I was the top point guard. I think if you were like we're playing street ball, I'd be there, and I was good.
Oh yeah. All right, so let's bring this back to where you're at now. You said you've got a kid that's a sophomore.
Yeah.
What are you gonna send out into this great world of ours? I mean,
well, I'll tell you, I'm extremely proud of my daughter. My daughter Julia, she's my oldest daughter. She got a 1270 on her PSAT this year, which was awesome.
Yes.
She was in a play, and she goes to a very good school and she gets straight A's. So I can't really complain. She's like a pretty amazing kid, and she's so cool too. I took her she's into 90s rock, which is just extremely interesting. And I think I posted on my Facebook, I don't know if you saw it, but we went to a live concert, like not like live. Yeah, it was live, but the band live from like the 90s rock band, Throwing Copper. Yeah. So they had a concert in Harrisburg, and I took my daughter there, and it was full circle because again, that album Throwing Copper was big when I was a sophomore, and now here I am taking my daughter as a sophomore to the concert. She's just really cool, and it's a really great experience. When she was a baby, she had a birth defect, so we went through a really hard time, and for her to like successfully make it through that diagnosis and now be where she's at, it's like it's a reminder of our blessing every single day.
I thought I saw a bunch of fishing in my Facebook stalking with you. Are you an avid fisherman? Like, is that like your thing?
I mean, honestly, I have a creek 20 feet behind my house. So, and it's a really great fishing place in Pennsylvania. So it's hard not to. And even when I'm not, when I'm looking out the window, drinking my coffee, I see fishermen like walking up the creek in their waders. So it's kind of hard not to. And my son, he's 10. So it's always a good, something fun to do with him. But I caught a huge 20-inch golden trout this year, Palomino, which was really cool.
Now, are you a fly fisherman? What's your preferred?
No, just regular old, trout fishing.
And that guy in the waders, was he fly fishing or?
Yeah, there are a lot of guys in waders that are fly fishing, but there's also guys in waders that are regular fishing as well. Because you're not really, you never know. They don't want to trespass on other people's property, so they'd rather put the waders on and walk up the creek.
Okay, all right. So here's where we start to get a little into the nitty gritty. So you finish Rutgers, and you decide to go to law school, and you went to Brooklyn Law School. I gotta know the story of all the schools you could have gone to. Why'd you choose there? And in your time in Brooklyn, did you see Biggie?
No, he died my junior year in high school, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see Biggie, but I definitely I knew I wanted to go to Brooklyn Law. My aunt and my uncle both went to Brooklyn Law.
Hey,
so that was someplace I definitely thought I might want to go. I applied early there, and I can remember I had applied to a couple other law schools, but I didn't apply early. So by the time I was hearing back from Brooklyn, I had just applied to the other law schools. And I remember vividly, I was studying for an exam. It was my senior year of college, and I was studying for an exam. And because I applied early, I got a phone call while I'm in the student center studying for this exam. I get a call at 8 p.m. and it's from the dean of admissions. And he's like, you applied early. We're going to accept you. He told me that my grades were bad and they were accepting me because of my LSAT. And then obviously, my aunt and uncle, they knew the name, which helped. But he was like, you gotta tell me by Friday or something like that. And it was like Wednesday. So I didn't have much time to think about it. and I didn't want to risk not getting accepted to the other law schools, although I think I would have. But I also kind of wanted, like, I had this mentality: if I want to live in New York, if I want to practice in New York, I should go to law school in New York. And NYU was probably out of my score on the LSAT, and Columbia was probably out of my score on the LSAT. So it was between Fordham, Brooklyn, and then maybe Yeshiva or I mean Cardozo, which is Yeshiva College's law school. And so that was really the option. And so I took it. And then I just closed my books and I stopped studying and I left because I was like, I don't got to study anymore since I already got accepted into law school.
So where were you living? How were you surviving in the Big Apple? What was going on there? Were you able to stay with your parents or family, or you had
So my grandmother, my grandfather, he was a successful lawyer, and then my dad was raised in Manhattan. He was raised on 19th Street in Manhattan, and then when my grandfather got sick, they also had a summer house in Long Island, and my grandmother opened an antique shop out in Long Island, and she converted their house on 19th Street into three or four apartments. I forget if it was three or four. And she rented it out. And so my grandmother was still alive when I got accepted to law school, and she was still renting out that apartment building. So I essentially just rented the top floor. And I had a roommate, and I was dating my wife at the time, my ex-wife. I was dating her at the time. And we were living together. So there was actually three of us, three young professionals working and paying the rent. And then I was taking the subway at night to go to law school. So it was a lot.
All right. So some of our listeners have never been to New York. I've been. My dad's from Brooklyn. My mom was born in Manhattan. But talk to us like we don't know. I need two spots. If I'm going to New York, I need two spots to go eat. Help us out.
To go eat?
To go eat.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's a tough one. There's so many good spots.
Yeah, but you got a favorite. There's something. There's got to be a place you just know you gotta go.
I mean, there are places like Katz's Deli that are like staples, right? You gotta go there. Right. I mean, everyone goes there. Like the people, like tourists go there just to go. And as far as the Jewish delis go, I mean, Katz's Deli, or then they had Second Ave Deli when I was there, and then it went away, and then it came back, but now it's not on Second Ave anymore. It's on Lexington Ave. It's still called Second Ave Deli. But I mean, the bottom line is there are places like that, and then there's places like Sable's, which is a locks place on the Upper East Side. Then there's places like my family goes to dim sum in Chinatown at one specific restaurant on Elizabeth Street, and then there's like Angelo's in Little Italy that friends with my family, so we would go there, and that was actually funny story. I got married in Central Park. Before we got big married, we kind of eloped and had a little ceremony in Central Park. And then we went out to Angelo's in Little Italy for afterwards as our wedding dinner. But I mean, so there's those places, but then there's always the new hottest place, Morimoto, or back in the day it was Bobby Flay and Wolfgang Puck, or whoever else, Anthony Bourdain, Tom Colicchio with Kraft, who's opening the hot restaurant now, Budokan, you know what I mean? And so, as a young professional, we just we didn't save any money. We spent all of our money on rent and then going out to dinner. And so that was it was an interesting time for sure. And a good experience. It was a great experience. I kind of wish I would have saved a little bit more money, but it worked out.
New York has changed a lot. My parents were sending me up there in the 80s, and I'm still alive. But if money was no object, what is your favorite borough? What do you claim is the best? Where do you put it? Or maybe you're going out to you're claiming Long Island because grandpa had a house. I'm
I
curious.
mean, honestly, like I love it all, but I gotta say, if I were to sit here and say like, I most closely align with Manhattan because my dad was raised there, my grandfather was there,
Yeah.
and then when my mom and dad got divorced, my dad moved out when I was 8, and so he moved back to the city.
Oh.
And when I say the city, I mean Manhattan. So he moved back to Manhattan, and then I used to go, spend every other weekend with him in Manhattan. But I mean, I grew up in North Jersey after that because I was with my mom. So, but when I'm in Manhattan, I feel at home. I know my way around it like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I've worked in several different areas. I've lived in several different areas in Manhattan, and so like for me, that's the borough. Although the other boroughs are so different now. Like Brooklyn is crazy.
Yes.
Like my sister she lives in Manhattan. My youngest sister lives in Manhattan. But I went up there. I drove up there and took her to a concert in Brooklyn, her and a friend that she lived with. And we drove down into Brooklyn, and I'm telling you, places that used to be like dangerous,
Yes.
abandoned, desolate, like just crack houses and like and tenements and like just bad areas. Like now it's like completely gentrified. It's like Peter Luger, like the famous steakhouse, used to be like next to broken down empty lots. And now it's like surrounded by high-rise apartment buildings, and it's just like and other bars. I mean, it's amazing. It really is. New York has done really well. And then I heard it really took a dive during COVID, but I went since COVID and it's already rebounded. So it's one of those places where, it's just so dynamic. It's like Austin, but it hasn't stopped for 400 years. You know what I mean? It just keeps evolving. So, and now I've been out of New York for a while, so I go back occasionally, but it's not the same.
Where are you going to retire at? You've traveled the world. You've even lived over here in the great state of Texas. Where do you see yourself? You can't.
I still practice in Texas. I flew down in August. I had a trial in Bastrop. Well, I had a hearing.
No.
Yeah, I did. A case is since settled, but yeah, no, I had a hearing in Bastrop County, actually Bastrop District Court, one of the districts. There's 2 in Bastrop actually, and it was nice, man. I hit up Cilantro and a couple of my other favorite restaurants down there. So it was a great time, and I love Austin. It's an amazing city, like 7 of the best years of my life for sure.
Yeah,
just a great place. So, I mean, that is definitely on the list. Although I think if I move back to Texas, which I may, like, I don't think I'll snowbird in Florida. I think when I snowbird, I think it'll be in Texas. I think it's going to be like Corpus Christi Beach, like North Padre Island. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be my spot. I mean, it's still affordable now. And the beach is nice. Like you go up to Galveston, the water's a little, suspect.
Yeah.
But the weather, you can't hate on North Padre Island. It's just great weather,
No, you cannot. All right. So we got that. This is a question I do ask pretty often, and I gotta know, what would your peers say to describe you? How would they describe you?
Do you remember MSAF, the multi-source assessment and feedback that the Army had? Well, I learned a lot about myself from those tests, okay? And what they would say is that I was not even keeled, okay? That's what they would say. Okay. But you know me, right? So how would you describe me?
I'd say
you don't know me. You don't know me as well now, but like think back. We're in Kuwait, okay? We're at PT. Like, describe who I am at that point. We're opening that legal assistance office together, me and you. We're like servicing thousands of soldiers that weren't getting legal assistance that they deserved, right? Yeah. We brought it to them, okay? How would you describe me then?
This is probably a horrible word, but I'd say multi-purpose, just because I was impressed with the fact that I thought you were well-rounded. Like you had a little bit of this. Every tool was in your bag. And that gave confidence because you outranked me, and everyone would like to think that your boss is capable, is knowledgeable, not a doofus. And
that's a critical thing for your boss to be, is not a doofus. I worked for some; they're not fun to work for. Okay,
no, but confident. Like I was confident that if there was anything, this guy gets it. Like we'll be taken care of. And then you weren't no Willy Lump Lump. Like you weren't afraid. There was no Kool-Aid in those veins. That was real blood in there. And so you weren't going to get pushed around. We weren't going to get dogged out on some type of crappy detail. And you need that. Like you want to have somebody on your side like that. So
and I feel the same way about you. When you joined the team, I was like, this guy's good. He's a former field artillery officer. Was it field artillery?
Ordnance. Close up. Not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you work with the bombs in ordnance. You were an ordnance officer. I remember, and so I knew we had that. And like when I found out you were that, and then you were doing the paralegal thing, then I was like, this is going to work out great. He is going to be able to give these soldiers advice, not just like the legal advice that they need, but like, because when somebody comes for a legal assistance, they ain't there because life's all peachy keen. You know what I mean? Like they're there because they got a problem, whether it's something at home or whether it's, something at work. And so like, we were providing like a valuable service. And to me, like I went up to Colonel Johnston and I said to him, like, don't give me like some paralegal that is not going to be capable. Cause like my whole point with him was we need to have a captain up here full time. And then he was like, I can't do a captain, but I have this NCO that's really good. And I was like, let me know. And then he gave me you, and like, you really were that good. I felt like that you could run the office without me even being there, which, that is a very nice thing to have as well. So I thought we worked well together. And then it was fun working out with you too, on the track, ultimate frisbee, whatever we were doing, the runs.
Oh, the track workouts were amazing. Like that was fun. It was, for those who don't know, G to the V to the T is pretty fast. I don't know what he's got right now. That sophomore might be kicking his butt right now. She might have the family title, but back then he could still fly. So
I mean, listen, you were like, you guys were super fast. And Sergeant Major Dews, can you believe she's a sergeant major now?
No, can't believe that.
I mean, listen,
incredible.
She knew how to run PT, man. She did not let you slide. And what a great teammate was she. I mean, man, even Bales was fun, So it was nice.
I still stay in touch with him here and there. I think he's still here in Texas. But yeah, through Facebook, we message every now and then. And I think he just ended his time serving. But yeah, he was awesome. Okay, I got this other one I got to get off. What do you still feel like is on your bucket list in life that you have to accomplish?
I mean, everything with my kids, right? Like, I think that's a big part of it. And then I really have been focusing on trying to give back as much as I can. Now I'm working pro bono work. I'm on the board of a nonprofit in New Jersey. And then, I was on the board of another nonprofit. And I just feel like, I've been so fortunate to live like so many different lives in the 44 years I've been on this planet that like, for me, I want to give back. But at the same time, I also still want to like I just want to experience things, I want to try different things. And I think technology is really interesting now. There's so much that's out there and available. I'd really like to start writing more. I started writing a book on that deployment back in 2017. I still haven't finished it yet, but I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
So like, but I would like to, after that book, I would like to write some other books as well, like just whatever I want to write, like my own life lessons that I can pass down to my kids. And, so I think I think those things are important to me now, but also just like enjoying life, enjoying my kids, enjoying the time with them, and enjoying life as much as possible. Traveling has always been such a big thing that I love.
Yeah.
And, being back in Sicily and seeing my family, my extended family out there was amazing. So I definitely foresee more traveling in the future as well.
I gotta know, were they judging you? What was your language game like? Were they like, the American cousin? Gosh, man, why can't he keep up? Like,
that's how I felt. I'm not gonna lie, that's how I felt. But you would not know that. Like, they were just so nice, and
cool.
It's amazing. And like, there's so many similarities that we have that like we don't even really need to talk. Like, I kind of just know what to do, and then it was weird how smooth it was, to be honest. I thought it would be weirder, like getting there, being there around other people for the first time that I couldn't speak the language. And listen, I can speak a little bit, but not enough to like really get around. But I just rented a car and just drove all around Sicily myself. So, I didn't have a problem.
What are they on the euro? What's the currency?
Yeah, it's euros. It's euros down there.
Okay. All right. And then, so you're gassing up in liters too, right?
Yeah, you are. But like, to be honest, like the euro was actually really cheap. It was 1-to-1 basically with the dollar when I was there in June. Yeah. So, I mean, the last time I was in Italy, it was like years ago, and it was like, I think maybe $1.50 to the euro. And so it was so much more expensive. So I thought the driving around wasn't so bad. And I got like a little stick shift, Fiat or whatever it was that I had. And it was, zipping around the island.
So you're a city guy. You were living over in New York. How the heck do you know how to drive a manual?
Oh man, it's a long story. So my mom taught me. I mean, that's the bottom line. She tried to teach me. Like, listen, my mom did a really bad job of teaching me how to drive. She had a minivan. It was a Ford Aerostar, and it had a stick shift. And and she tried to teach me, but like I almost killed her. So she was like, "No more. I'm not teaching you." So then, what I did is like my junior year. It was the end. It was between the summer between my junior and my senior year. I turned 17 in March, right? So I had saved up like $2,400, and I bought a Nissan 240 SX, but it was manual.
Yeah,
it was manual, and I didn't know how to drive stick, so I had my buddy Joe drive it back to my house. Okay, this is like on a Thursday, and then Friday night, I just told my mom, I was like, "Ma, see you later. I'm going out," and she was like, "You don't know how to drive stick," and I was like, "I'll figure it out." So I can tell you there was a lot of this going on that weekend.
Yeah.
But you figure it out, and then it's fun to drive. It keeps you focused.
Yeah, it's focused. So I'm a little curious here. Do you have a favorite vehicle? Like, what's your dream car? I don't know. We're on that subject.
When I was a kid, it was always a Porsche 911 twin turbo. That was the car that I always wanted. I always wanted that car. Then, in 2019, when Elon Musk had that Cybertruck thing, I was one of the first. I put the bid on the Cybertruck. It was one of the because how did he pitch it? He said, "Well, it's faster in 0 to 60 than a 911. It's bulletproof." And I was like, "Shit!" I was like, "You're telling me it's a pickup truck? It's bulletproof and it's faster than a 911?" I was like, "Sign me up." Yes. So that was before they even released. Like they hadn't even shown a picture of it yet. People were speculating what it was going to look like. But he had released those specs, and when I heard those specs, I was like, I don't care what it looks like. It could look like, an eggplant. I don't care. I'm buying it.
Oh, he delivered. That thing is glorious. Those 3 motors, it is wicked fast. I mean, it's. Man.
But you know what's funny? I got the 1,500th reservation, and they haven't even contacted me yet. So I'm like, did they really start delivering these things yet?
Yeah, because the only people I know of, they're the influencers. It's a couple of YouTube guys. They've taken delivery. That's
and a couple of employees, I think, like high level employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think they're not rolling out thousands of them yet. So I think
No.
that's part of the problem. And like, to be honest, then I went through a divorce, so it was like, now it's like, do I really care about that?
Yeah. That's gonna be a challenge. Hey, so Pennsylvania living. What were your impressions when you first started seeing the Amish and you rolled it up into Amish country? Was that a shock to you?
I mean, is it ever not shocking? I mean, even when you're used to it, it's still, I mean, like every time I drive by someone who's Amish, I'm always thinking to myself, like they live a completely different life than us, right? Like their life is completely different. Like there's no TV, no internet, no, you know what I mean? It's like, but I got to give them props. And that's one of the crazy things about Pennsylvania. Like I was at so the farm show is a big thing in Pennsylvania. It's in Harrisburg. Did you go when you were here for 7 months in Harrisburg?
I never went to the farm show.
Well, the farm show's in January, so it's not even nice out. It's cold. It's indoor at the giant expo center in Harrisburg. It's a huge expo. It's a huge expo center, and it's like they got a rodeo. I mean, they have everything, like huge, $1 million farm pieces of equipment and stuff like that. It's crazy. So you go there. And there's like inner city people from Philly and Pittsburgh. And then there's like regular suburban people. And then there's like Amish. And then there's like farmers. And it's like, it's just like the strangest grouping of people ever. And it's like pretty equal. I mean, like you go around the horn and like the group sizes like are pretty equal. So it's like, it's one of the strangest, but like most reassuring things about our country that I've ever seen, because like you're there, like, how do we do it here in Pennsylvania? We coexist, right? And not only do we coexist, but Pennsylvania has some of the hardest working people in the country.
Agreed.
A lot like Texas, actually. I felt the same way about Texas. One of the things I liked about Texas was that, like, like everyone who serves you is like they take pride in their job. The construction workers take pride in their job. So like, I feel like Pennsylvania and Texas have a lot in common, but seeing everybody in the diversity there, just, getting along and all doing the same thing, getting through a miserable January in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Together, it's like, it's reassuring about our country, right?
Yeah. I did fall in love with minor league hockey. I went to a lot of Hershey Bears games while I was there. I loved it, and I'm probably still a fan to this day. I get little notifications here and there. I'm still a fan. So that is one of the things that I did. All right. I believe in 6 degrees of separation. So I need to know, who is the most interesting person in your life? I'm not saying they have to be rich. I mean, of course, that makes someone. They don't have to be the most famous. But who's the most interesting person in your life? And what would you do to help me get them on this podcast?
I can get a lot of people for your podcast, Donato. I know a lot of people. I got a lot of interesting people that I know. I'd be happy to start recruiting people for your podcast. I had a lot of fun tonight. And, if you really want to know who the most interesting person in my life is,
I would.
Like, I'm not going to tell you because it's my girlfriend, and I'm not going to reveal her name right now. I didn't talk to her about it. I don't know if she'd be okay with it.
Understood.
But, I mean, she's amazing, and she's pretty high up in government, and she's just a really amazing person.
Yeah.
And she's so smart too. Like, she can talk about, policy all day long, and it's like, you know how I am. Like, listen, I was always like pretty nonpartisan, but being in the military, being an intel officer, being a JAG, you have opinions, and I had, I'm a political animal, and so it is nice to like really have like that daily discourse with someone where you can really like discuss in depth about, we're talking about the rule of law and like the the Israel Palestine situation, and I think it's refreshing to have that on a daily basis. So, I mean, I'll get her on your podcast if she's willing to do it. I mean, I think she'd be great for your podcast.
That's all you can do.
A little bit more soft spoken than I am, but
Oh, I can do it. I just had an introvert on yesterday, and he's shocked. He's like, "How did you get me to talk for an hour?" And he's a retired Army officer, retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Is that the one who did the Appalachian Trail?
That guy.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it. That was pretty amazing. I got to say, that has actually always been a bucket list item of mine, too.
No.
I kind of want to do it with my son when he gets old enough.
Yeah, and that's how he started. Well, I guess you saw, but he was like, yeah, his dad kind of talked him into it and got him warmed up to it. And then he did it.
Wow. That's crazy, man. So crazy.
Well, we are going to end. This was Gabriel Vincent Tese. Listeners, were you not entertained? I mean, am I right? This is, I don't even feel like I got it all. I
feel like we just scratched the surface too.
I agree. I think there's so much more that I would want to go into, but that's good. I want that meat on the bone. This allows me the opportunities to have second meetings and third meetings.
Oh, yeah, man. Whenever, like I said, I could always pinch hit. Somebody drops out last minute. You want somebody give me a call. I'd be happy to shoot it. I mean, I think some of our best moments were when we were chopping it up before we even started recording.
Agreed.
So I mean, listen, anytime, Donato, you are an amazing guy, and it's great to be able to call you a friend.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. You were on my short list. I wish I had it ready here. I think I need to find it and just send you a little screenshot on it, and then you can kind of see. I had this access when I came up with this idea of finally getting this podcast going, and I had these core people, and then I had these little branches that came off, and you were one of the core pieces, not one of the branches. Nothing wrong with being a branch, but I knew fraternity brothers, and then motorcycle club members, and just different. I was a successful Latin dancer, and just those different veins. There's nothing wrong with that, but
you know what? I'm gonna hook you up with another one of my friends that you need to talk to. He's another also military officer, but a fantastic guy. One of my best friends from ROTC. He won the strongman competition in Iraq in 2004. Was what wrestled for Rutgers University like 180 or so. He probably weighs 230, just jacked. Awesome dude. He's still jacked. He's 47 or something.
Yeah.
You got to get my friend McGregor on.
There's some similarities there. So first of all, we're close in age, he and I was in Iraq in 2004, and so there may be some overlap there. You got me hooked. I would not turn that down. So if he's interested and the name is McGregor, that's all McGregor. I'm interested.
I'm gonna hook you up with my friend McGregor. He will be amazing on the show. He's also a great dude, and you'll end up probably being friends with him just because he's that cool of a guy. So hey, until next time, Donato, man, it's been a real pleasure.
Thanks again, and here's what I can tell you. I'll be in your neck of the woods here shortly. I'll be up in that New York, Pennsylvania area. So lock your doors.
I just bought a condo outside of Philly. So, if you're in the area, hit me up.
Okay. I'll let you know. Thanks again. Have a great night.